5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Champions! Wrexham are promoted. They have their storybook ending.
You can walk through the fire. You can walk through the fire. When it's down to the wire. You can walk through the fire.
Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the Wrexham Texan. Sorry about that intro. I had the audio settings on something different, so I don't know if y'all heard it or not. But welcome to the show. My name is Jake Green. Yeah, what a game yesterday. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But before we do, head on over to Instagram or Twitter. You can follow me, all my Wrexham tweets and posts and all that. WXM Texan. Wrexham Texan on both of those accounts. You can also go to my company's website to stream this right now as we speak. I mean, I think we can do it. You can also go to, look at that, picture and a picture and a picture and a picture. Let's see how, look at that. I mean, I think there's infinite Jakes right there. That is so crazy looking. Interesting. Okay. Well, head on over to peacefulsea.network to stream this, or you can go to YouTube. I think it's on Rumble, Twitter, Facebook right now. And yeah, go check it out over there. If you're going to the website, you can also check out all the other things that we make, including 2 other podcasts with 4 more coming next year. Our movies that we make, documentaries, all that stuff. So yeah, all right. Let's see. Sorry about that. Here we go. Okay. Yesterday's game, beginning of the FA Cup. Super excited about the FA Cup. I love watching tournament style sports. The World Cup is by far my all-time favorite. Not by far, but it's my all-time favorite sporting event, followed by, I don't know, 0.1 points behind it is March Madness here in the United States, which is college basketball tournament. 64 teams battle out to see who gets to be the champion in like 3 weeks. So it's just a massive amount of games within 3 weeks. So it's a really fun time. But FA Cup, our first draw was Mansfield Town, who is I think, aren't they directly behind us? Weren't they directly behind us in the league table? Oh, they still are. Yeah. Okay. So they're directly behind us in the league table, which means it was always going to be a very good game. And man, it really didn't disappoint. We seemed, I don't know, there's something about it. Like the whole first half, we seemed to be in control of it. We seemed to be in control of the flow. We seemed to get a lot of scoring chances, a couple that we probably should have scored on, that we failed to do so. But overall, the possession is about equal. The duels were about equal. They had 10 more interceptions than we did. They had 10. We had 4. Both were offsides once, and we won 7 corners, and they won 5. So very even game. They're a good team. It was a fun game to watch, and thoroughly enjoyed. I watched it. Me and my wife built a hangout spot in the magnolia tree in our front yard. We basically put down a massive amount of wood chips as the ground cover underneath it. Cut some smaller branches, cut away some leaves, set up right now 5 chairs, mounted a TV to the trunk of the tree, put in a couple batteries that are powered by a solar panel. And we putting in a countertop in there, and what else? A grill and a fire pit. You might say, Jake, is a fire pit inside of a tree the best idea? Yeah, it is. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be one of those fire pits that has a lot of safety protection on it so that sparks can't go flying. And yeah, it should be pretty awesome. I've watched 4, 5 sporting events out there since we since we built it. And I think we've won. I think my team has won every single time. So maybe I'm the reason that my teams are doing so well recently. My Texas Rangers won the World Series in baseball, which was a long time coming. Before the season started, we were one of 6 teams that had never won the World Series, and we've been around since 1961. So fantastic year. There was a time, I believe it was 2011, where we got to the World Series. It was down to the last strike, and we couldn't get him out, and they ended up winning the game and winning the series. So we got just that close about a little over a decade ago. And it was, I mean, yeah, watched the last 3 games of the World Series in the Magnolia Tree, watching in the freezing cold. We were wrapped up in blankets, but man, we'd won twice with me watching out there. So I was like, we got to watch it out there again, because that's the reason that we're winning. I am definitely superstitious in that way. Let's see, back to Mansfield Town versus Wrexham. Even on passing, even on long passes, even on passing accuracy. I mean, it was about the most even game there was that we've played this year. Everything is very close. They had more shots than we did, but we had more shots on target, which means their shot percentage is going to be way worse than ours. Our shot accuracy is twice as good as theirs for this game. They had 15 shots outside the box, which always means, or most of the time means, that they're not going to have the best shot accuracy. If you're shooting all your shots from outside the box, that's not a good sign. They did, however, have 10 shots inside the box, and we had 12. So let's see. On the defensive side, about even. Tackles, about even. Clearances, we had a lot more clearances. And a lot of those were towards the end of the halves. Discipline. The number of fouls that we got in this game was, sorry, my phone is making the little clicking sound with the microphone. Let's see. Fouls conceded. We fouled 12 times. They did 5. We had 2 yellow cards. They had 1. To be honest, though, I don't really remember much. I feel like the penalties, or the fouls and the cards, were fine. I feel like we definitely committed a bunch of fouls. And so I don't remember complaining about the refs very much in this game. But let's see, back on the attack. So in the 23rd minute, here we go. In the 23rd minute, this happened.
Will it be a decisive blow in the context of this contest?
Oh no, this is the Mullen goal.
Only suffered their first defeat of the season in
My
the
bad.
League Cup on Tuesday.
So in the 60th minute, that happened. Sam Dalby over to Paul Mullen.
Context of this contest.
Cranks it in the back of the net.
But only suffered their first defeat of the season in the League Cup.
Fantastic. What a play. Sam Dalby had a killer game yesterday. He got us our first goal in the 23rd minute. Fantastic. I believe the pass was from either Cannon or Jones, if I remember correctly. But he had a perfect strike, upper 90, far post. It was beautiful. And yeah, let's see. I think, did I save this? No, I didn't save it. But I know that Me, the Wife, and Wrexham AFC mentioned that ever since Dalby signed a new contract with us, he's been killing it. And that's true. I mean, he was a part of both goals today. He assisted one and scored the other. He assisted the game winner to Mullen in the 58th minute. And then soon after that, Oates scored their goal, which definitely made things more interesting, made it a little more tense. It's at that point where you realize that, we could potentially draw and have to do a freaking replay. The one thing I do not want out of the FA Cup is to have to do a replay. Like, you don't want to spend more time, like, take up more game days for league play because of the FA Cup. So the fewer replays that we can play, the better, obviously. So I was very happy that we were able to hold out. And Arthur Conquo, I mean, what a beast. That dude is so good. I was chatting with a couple Wrexham folks after, and man, we all agreed that we just want to sign him immediately, like as soon as possible, whenever we can, whenever that window opens up for us to sign him. I think that would be a very, very smart move. We could have him for a very long time. I know that's what I've been waiting for. Is like Mark Howard crushed it for us all last year. Has done well since he during his games this season, but it would be really nice to have a goalie that is under 30 years old. And so Arthur Okonkwo definitely fits in that category and just has been an all-around beast. I mean, he's so tall and his limbs are so long. And he's got great reaction. It doesn't seem like he has great reaction. I think like it seems like he's a little it looks like he's a little slow at times, but I think that's because he's so tall. I think the like taller and bigger you get, the more slowly it looks like you move, but you're actually moving really fast. Your arms are just, your limbs are just long. Um, I don't know what it is about that. I think we could do a whole analysis on that. For some reason I think of the Entmoots in in Lord of the Rings, how slowly they move, but they're actually covering a ton of ground while they move slowly. Like they'd still move faster than either Merry or Pippin could move, if they were just running through the woods. So yeah, I don't know. There's something to that. Doesn't matter. That's a weird tangent to go down. So I apologize. Let's see. Before the game, I know that, let's see, share this tab instead. Someone posted this, which I thought was great.
Right-hand side, but Wrexham are able to keep their shape. It's a good switch though, and Cargill playing at left back feeds it towards the edge of the area. Breaking.
Somebody put in Mark Griffiths over Mark Donaldson, which is fantastic. I'm not sure why my audio just came out of my computer. That was really weird. Apologies, y'all. I'm not really sure. I'm having all sorts of technical difficulties today. Yeah, that was weird. I thought I heard it come out of the computer and not my headphones. So apologies if that was the case, but I love that somebody went and took the time to write Griffiths over Donaldson. Also, the reason I'm showing tweets. All right. So the past few episodes, I've started to get the preliminary actions to copyright claims on some of my videos. And so I'm going to lay off showing clips of the show and most of the highlights for at least a little while, because it's clear that I am garnering some attention for using copyrighted material, even though there's some argument to be made that it is like, especially the highlights. The highlights, I believe, are fair use, especially if I'm commenting on them. If I'm not just playing the highlights without commenting on them, it's basically like a news report. And in the news, like if there's a news broadcast on BBC or Fox News or CNN or whatever, you're allowed to take that broadcast but you must comment on it. You can't just re-air it. And so I think the highlights I should be okay, but the documentary series, it's less likely that I could get away with that. And I knew that from the beginning. I tried to get away with it for as long as possible, and I'll probably come back to it. But for now, I don't think I'm going to be showing any more clips as of right now. I might get back to it. I can probably take some screenshots and get away with that, because I think it's under 6 seconds, and it's just really hard to show a clip with context in 6 seconds of a TV show. So, yeah, maybe I can take some screenshots and talk more about how the show is made rather than the story in general. So yeah, let's see. We have Mr. Sean Winter talking about how that is an extremely hard fought win. The boys didn't stop. Fantastic game of football. Brilliant again. It absolutely was. I mean, it was a fantastic game. It was great. I had completely forgotten that it would be on ESPN. So I tried to tune in to iFollow and realized, oh, it's not there. Got really worried for a second, then remembered, oh yeah, the FA Cup, they play that on ESPN. So quickly turned on ESPN and was able to watch the entire game. And man, getting that worldwide audience is something else. And I will say it is far better commentary when Mark Griffiths is the one commentating. And I know that half of that is because he is a Wrexham supporter. So having that Homer commenting and analyzing the game, it makes it easier and more fun if you are in fact a Wrexham fan. And Mark Donaldson seemed to, I mean, he did a great job. Mark Donaldson, no problem with his commentating. He's just not Mark Griffiths, and he's not a fan of Wrexham. In fact, he almost seemed like he didn't like Wrexham at times, or at least didn't like all the hype surrounding them in the show. But I could just be reading into stuff. I don't really care either way. I thought he did a great job commenting on it and everything. So Mr. Wayne Jones says, we're just dead effing good, aren't we? We've got super parky. Absolutely. Wayne Jones, love that dude on the documentary series. And yes, we're just good. We're just freaking good. And I've been saying this since game 5, since like match 5. I thought we basically could field 2 full squads or full starting lineups of teams that could be in League 2. I think we have that much talent. In fact, we could go over the list. That would actually be a pretty fun exercise for an episode, is to try to break it down and see if we could split up the team into 2 teams and figure out which one we think would, if we think both could be in League 2. I think that'd be a pretty fun exercise. So maybe I'll do that. After the Mansfield game, this happened, which I'm not a huge fan of. James McLean taunting some Mansfield supporters who are getting all riled up and coming right up to the barrier. McLean tries to get closer to him. He's stopped by Tozer. Looks like Tozer and Jones. One of the Mansfield idiots tries to climb over the barricade. Okay. I love the fight, man. Like McLean, you're awesome. I love the passion and the energy that you bring to the club. I even love some of the arguing that you do and some of the heat that you bring on the refs. But come on, man. These are like 2 or 3 drunk doofus Mansfield fans who just lost. Why are you even giving them the time of day? They're not on the field. They're not on the pitch. They're not a threat, or they're just not even a part of the game. They're just not even a part of it. So don't even give them the time of day. This is like acting like a little child. You're a professional football player. Why are you stooping to the level of drunk fans? I don't care what they said. Just walk into the locker room, man. You just won. 2-1. You just knocked out Mansfield from the FA Cup. So I don't agree with that side of your passion. And who knows? It could be a thing in life where you can't really have one without the other, though I don't necessarily believe that to be the case. I know plenty of competitors who, once the game is done, they're normal people and they don't pick fights with fans. If Tozer and Jones hadn't been there, and if that one security person hadn't been there, I feel like it would have gotten physical. And I mean, it's probably best for the Wrexham club and those two Mansfield fans that it didn't, because I think that McLean would destroy them. He looks like someone who could just mop the floor with you. So, also to those two fans, don't pick fights with players, you dum-dums. Don't do that. That's a terrible idea. Represent your club better than that. Really stupid. Really, really stupid. All right. Do we have anything else to talk about with this match? Match report. No, we didn't. All right. So the biggest news after the match, obviously, is who we drew. We drew Yeovil Town for the second round of the FA Cup. We will be hosting them. They are down in National League South, and they are winning National League South at the moment. They're leading. I think they have 32 points, which I think is like 6 points above the second place team right now. So they got relegated back down from the National League to National League South, which is unfortunate for them. But it seems like they have pulled it back together and are starting to make their run back up. So it will be an interesting match. I mean, they're 2 whole leagues below us. So I don't know what to think about that. Like I've mentioned this before. If you focus on the fact that they are 2 leagues below us, I think that we'd end up playing down to their level. This is what my Texas A&M Aggies do every single time. If it's a bad team, we play down to their level. If it's a team that's like 1-6 and we're 6-1, we're going to end up barely beating that team because we focus on the fact that that team is terrible and we play like them. So that's really frustrating. So let's hope Parkey and the rest of the staff can keep our focus correct before this game. It doesn't say when or where, or it doesn't say when. So I'm sure we'll get that soon. I wish it would said when on here, but it doesn't. So it is what it is. The guys over at Fearless and Devotion posted this, which I thought was super interesting. Prior to this season, the only team to beat us on home soil in the 2 full seasons under Robin Ryan ownership was Yeovil Town back in 2021 in November. Since being relegated from the National League, they've regrouped and lead the NL South table with 10 wins from 14 games. It's a very interesting stat. They aren't a bad team. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions with like National League versus like now that we're in the league, thinking teams outside of the league aren't very good, I think is a huge mistake, especially since Yeovil was in the National League recently. It's not like they're a terrible team. And if they're leading let's actually go over and see if they're leading the National League South, then, I mean, that says something. Like they've won 10 out of 14 games. That's very impressive. Let's see. I'm pulling up the table right now and go down to the South. Let's look at there. Okay, so they're only 3 points ahead of Avely. I don't know how to pronounce that one. Apologies if I mispronounced it. Their goal differential is 12. So they scored 12 more than their opponents. Yeah, 1-10, drawn 2, lost 2. So they're not a bad team, and we should do our very best to not underestimate them, because that's how you end up getting kicked out of these tournaments, is by underestimating your opponent and taking it for granted that you're going to win. So let's try not to do that. Yeah, but looking forward to it. Like I said, I love tournament play. It's everything about it is exciting, and I know that it helps. Like this particular one helps the club in a lot of ways. One is recognition. You get that ESPN worldwide coverage. Like you can watch that game anywhere in the world. Yesterday, and it's on ESPN, which is, I mean, got to be the biggest sports platform on earth since it's owned by Disney. They do have a lot of issues. They are going down in views, which is probably deserved considering some of their choices, but they're still maybe the biggest sports platform on earth. And so getting that kind of international recognition is a huge deal. As you keep going further into the cup, you keep winning more money for the club, which is a huge deal considering how many players we've signed for probably too much money than we can afford over the last 2 seasons. And so, yeah, the further we go, the better. And plus, Wrexham is known as the giant killers. Like, we want to get to those rounds where we're playing championship teams. Even, well, I guess, yeah, championship teams. Like Sheffield when we played them last year. Unbelievable games against them last year. That was so much fun. I remember those games so well. I don't remember why I remember those so vividly compared to some of the league play games, but man, I do. We were watching the docuseries when they covered that, and I just remembered all of it. It was fantastic and just stuck with me. I think it's because it's tournament play. It's like every single game you play in a tournament, all the stakes are on the line. Like, it's all there. And so it's really tangible. It's not like, okay, this is just one of a bunch that will add up to where we end up next season. This is, we either win or we're going home forever and we're out of this tournament. So I just love tournament play. It's so good. All right, let's talk about the latest episode of Welcome to Wrexham, called The Hand of Foz. And man, everyone who was a fan at the time and who was watching what was happening with Wrexham remembers this like week of matches. Remembers this Notts County game at the very least. I remember specifically the 3-1 loss to Halifax the week prior, because everyone was freaking out. Not everyone. Tons and tons of people were freaking out, saying, this is it. Like, proves that Notts is going to beat us. Like, we don't stand a chance. This is the end of our season. We're going to have to play in the playoffs. All this garbage. It's so funny to watch people react in that way. It kind of drives me nuts, but it also makes me laugh. It's like, just have some patience. We got this. And like at the beginning of this episode, Mullins talks about how he'd been looking forward to Notts for like half the season. He knew, like, that's always on his brain. And that probably has something to do with why we lost the Halifax match. 3-1, mind you, we were up 1-0 at halftime, 1-0 at halftime. And yeah, Halifax just battled back and scored 3 in a row and took us down a peg. And, it probably was the best thing that could have happened to us. Honestly, like, there's some weird mental gymnastics and mental sides of the sport where if we had destroyed Halifax like we should have, we may have gone into Notts County feeling a little too good about ourselves. If we had won, 29 in a row or whatever, or unbeaten in 28 games, if we had been unbeaten in 29 games, there's a chance that we could have been overconfident and not played Notts the correct way. And so I like it when my team unexpectedly loses to a bad team the week before we play a good team. If we have to lose. So football is very different from American football because there are far more games in the football season than there are in American football season. So you can't afford to lose any games in American football. So that, not okay. But as far as football goes, yes, like, that was the perfect game for us to just tank, because I think that just put a fire inside us and just made us play even harder, even better. We played so well, and we got screwed over by the refs. Watching this episode, I had completely forgotten how terrible the refs were. I think I remember 5 or 6 times where the side judge called offsides when we 100% weren't offsides. That guy had to have had like a lean or like one leg shorter than the other, because just something about his angle of what was straight across the field was completely misguided. He failed geometry sometime in elementary school, because that was one of the most horrendous offsides call, like repeated offsides calls over and over and over and over and over. He just messed it up. And it was such a big game. You wouldn't think that would happen. You'd think they'd be a little more careful. But then on the other hand, if you're nervous as a ref, which I imagine a lot probably are nervous, you might overcompensate and call too much. But it did really feel like they were overcompensating only against Wrexham, not for Wrexham. And so like that Bostock penalty at the end of or foul at the end of the first half, where he got a free kick and launched it into the upper 90 in one of the prettiest upper 90 free kick goals I've seen in a while. Like, that thing was perfectly struck. That shouldn't have happened. The dude tripped himself. Like, I'm going to keep repeating it because the dude tripped himself. He tripped over his own feet, fell to the ground, and that's how Notts County went up 1-0. That and an incredible shot by Bostock. So the refereeing was just horrendous. Yet we hunkered down. We overcame it. We got 3 goals to their 2. And then it came down to the moment we all remember, the moment that's in the opening titles of this show. Dadgummit, now I'm forgetting the guy who shot. Why can't I remember his dadgum name? Whatever. The penalty taker for Notts County, kicking it lower 90 on the left-hand side. Ben Foster using all of his strength, all of his might, hitting it with both hands. And mind you, if he hadn't touched it with that second hand, I think the ball would have gone in, and I think we'd have tied Notts County. But he was able to get both hands on it. It ricocheted off one, ricocheted off the other, then went out. And without that second hand hitting it, it would have gone in the back of the net, I think. It would have at least hit the inside of the post, which probably would have put it in anyway. And so, I mean, that was one of the best moments in my sporting life. It was absolutely incredible, especially not being at the game. Being at the game, I have a lot of top sporting moments, but not being at a game, it was one of the best sporting moments that I've been a part of. And man, it was so much fun. I was screaming, jumping up and down, losing my dadgum mind. We were getting ready to go to a wedding that day, and I wore my Wrexham shirt underneath my collared shirt, and man, I was just smiling ear to ear for the rest of the day over here, because the games happen in the mornings over here. So we have the rest of the day to revel in the victory or be miserable in defeat. So I mean, there's really not much to say about this episode other than it was awesome. Like, it recounted one of the best days probably in Wrexham football history, at least in recent history over the past 20 years. It was a fantastic day. It is what got us promoted. Ben Foster, we owe it all to you, dude. We owe that one moment that got us there, that helped lift us over Notts County. We owe that moment to you, because that was one heck of a save. And yeah, won it 3-2. Fantastic game. It's a blast. Yeah, I mean, it was this was one of the best episodes of the season. Maybe the best. maybe the best episode of the season, because it all focused around the primary storyline. It all focused around us trying to get promoted. It continued the story that brought everyone together watching this show. Which it has not, the show has not done that all season. And I mentioned this before. If you want to go back to the last episode and watch my analysis of all of that. But this is the kind of episode that I would expect out of this show. This is the kind of episode that's needed, and it's needed repeatedly, because there are so many crazy, awesome stories that happen around the promotion run. And this obviously was the pivotal moment of the entire season. And I'm so glad they did it such justice and focused basically an entire episode on it. Like they did the setup with the Halifax town, and then all the middle tension leading up to it, and then Super Ben Foster in goal. Gosh, what an episode. They do mention in this episode that currently down 10 million pounds because of all of the investment they've made into the club. Sean Harvey does mention, however, that if they were to sell the club right now, they would get far more than that for the club, which totally makes sense. So it's like unrealized gains, because you're not actually reaping the profits from it. But if you were to sell it, you'd get profits. And so if this would be the time when an investor who was just trying to get, a return on investment, they would sell the club. But Rob and Ryan aren't going to do that, because Rob mentioned, what if we were doing this for the rest of our lives? Which I really hope he does, because him and Ryan seem just absurdly passionate about the town, about the club, about just this whole endeavor. And it's really, really, really lovely to see and fun to be on the ride. So, yeah, I think that's it for this, for analyzing the episode, y'all, because it was just fun. Just go watch it. Hand of Foz. It was like reliving it from last year. Everybody was tweeting about it. Everybody was saying like how much they loved that episode and how they were still in suspense, even though they knew the outcome. Some of them were there and they knew the outcome, but they were still tense watching the episode. And I completely agree. And so, yeah, great job, FX. Great job. Welcome to Wrexham. So, I'm going to end this episode with looking at a couple of tweets about Wrexham, just a couple of them. I love this from Ian Jones. It's Ian Jones 833-61153 on Twitter. If you want to go follow Ian Jones, I believe he's painting this. There's Ian B. Jones down here, and he's painting this. He says, not quite done, but it's Christmas in Wrexham, and I want this painting. I mean, I want it really badly. It's awesome. This would be up every single Christmas season for me. If as soon as he's done with this, if he sells it or is just putting it out there for anyone to download, I'm definitely going to get this, because Mullen as Santa Claus, or at least Santa Claus wearing a Mullen shirt, is freaking awesome. So yeah, good job, dude. Like, this is fantastic. Yeah, I just loved it. So wanted to share that with y'all. And then another one, Jason from Wrexham Phoenix. It's at Wrexham Phoenix. Watching the game, watching Super Paul Mullen score yesterday. Already set up for Christmas. Already got the Wrexham scarves wrapped around the Christmas tree with the Wrexham flag in the window. Fantastic setup. The Wrexham hat is the angel on top of the tree. Gosh, killer setup, y'all. I love this. Yeah, over here in the States, I would say if you're celebrating, if you're already decorating for Christmas and Thanksgiving isn't here yet, don't talk to me. Don't mention Christmas to me till after Thanksgiving. However, I realize that the UK and every single other country doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving because you're not American. So I will give y'all a pass for starting to celebrate Christmas at the beginning of November. It makes sense in a way. I still think it's too early. 2 months of Christmas, I think, is too much. But if you like it, so be it. So y'all get a pass for starting to celebrate Christmas this early. Yeah, y'all, that'll do it for this episode. Make sure you go over to Twitter and Instagram. Oh, one other thing, forgot to mention. Since I do one of these shows every week, and I still want to be just a regular Wrexham fan as well, not have to comment and analyze every single game, I have decided that I will not be putting out, like, posting, being involved in texting or anything like that, any messaging apps or anything like that during tournament non-league play. So FA Cup, this Bristol Cup that's coming up, Bristol Trophy, whatever it is, anything that's non-league play, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it. I'm not going to get on social media at all during those matches. I just want to sit back and enjoy it as a regular old Wrexham fan. So yeah, but for the rest of the league play, as long as I'm around and available, I will be on Instagram, on Twitter. I'll be in the Two Beards, a podcast in Wrexham AFC Discord, which if you haven't joined, go join the Discord. Go join the fan group for that show, because those two guys are awesome. Chris and Adrian, fantastic dudes. Yeah, go look them up. And then let's see, anything else? No, go follow me, WXM Texan, on Instagram and Twitter. And yeah, I'll be back next week, same time, same place. Y'all have a great week. Up the town.
You search my soul with all your heart, you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it. And if you knock my soul with all your strength, you're gonna find it. You're gonna find it.